So what I want to talk about, and actually we talked a little bit about last time, but I mentioned testing for issues of yeast or fungus or mold issues. And a couple months back, this is something that we've looked at, like most of my time in practice, I've looked at this. There's some really cool urine analysis tests you can run called mycotoxin tests, where you can see if someone has an active mold or yeast infection internally. And you would kind of run these tests. If they came back, then we can put you on protocols, and you're kind of doing these follow-ups. A couple months back, I went to a training where we presented this idea of doing something as simple as using little Petri dishes to have people do spit and then and urine, do the collection. You let it sit in a dark space for about 6 to 7 days, and then see if anything grows or develops on these Petri dishes. And it's been a really neat way to get data faster and like just much easier and simpler, and a much easier follow-up. We can kind of follow it and track it over a period of time. And so already, just in the past couple months, I actually brought one that was like positive. There's no name attached or anything to this, but these are kind of some of the things that we've been seeing show up. And what's crazy is going through a detox. This is somebody that had some really big thyroid issues, headaches, body aches, all that stuff. And we come back positive with this, and we we don't know the exact kinds that are in here, but we know this is part of your issue. This could be as far as the whole issue. But as we go through that detoxification process over the next 8 to maybe, if it's real extensive, 12 weeks, and we get to see these improve every 4 weeks, we run it again. And we've had several already just after 4 weeks, after 6 weeks, coming back much, much more clear, almost clear. And then you're seeing that improvement of symptoms. It kind of creates this really cool little guide to walk people through when this is their issue. We've had other people that have run these, gave me their sample. I was like so convinced, but then they come back clean, and that means that's not the problem. And so sometimes as well, as you go through that detoxing, we're going to come to the other side, and if every problem they have goes away, amazing, because mold and yeast can attach to a lot of problems, from gut issues to migraines to headaches to low energy, all those things. If we get done with it and we're 50% better, we go amazing, and then kind of go looking for maybe what else is there, what else could be part of the complication. And so that's been kind of neat. And so that's kind of where I wanted to start off.
Presumably that's cheaper than sending it to the lab.
And presumably it's cheaper than sending it to the lab. And the cool thing about this lab, so these, I think these sell for, I think we do like $6 a dish or something like that. So real inexpensive. And the cool thing about this is that if you wanted to, when you get back and it is positive, the way the lab we work with, you can send this back to the laboratory as the finished sample. And then they can give you a read on what kinds and how much are in there. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to know.
If you want to know.
That's kind of how I work, because we're going to work through it. And I tell everyone too that if you know, we're 4 or 6 weeks in and we have you do your follow-up and it's no better or worse, then we need to send it off to the lab. Like, we need to actually figure out, is there an exposure? Like, somehow this is like building, not going away. Like, why are the things we're giving not working? And that could determine if, you know, potentially certain types of issues or things in there can maybe determine that. But so far, that has not been the case. So far, things have been clearing, which has been really cool to see. So that's kind of where I wanted to start.
Just to add to that, I mean, that it's only $6. I have just like, I almost just tell everybody that comes in here, people that come in here are like looking to improve their health. I'm like, hey, if you think, you know, take a look at this. And we have them, and they look, you see them, they look like crazies. One of them looks like Mickey Mouse. It's like red and white and yellow. And it's just the craziest stuff you see. And for $6, why would you not run it? It's not like an expensive lab test. And like you said, it's not diagnostic. We don't know exactly what it is, but it tells us there's something there, something to investigate a little further. So I've been doing it a lot with my patients. And the other thing that, the part that's kind of not so cool about it is when it does come back, you go, where did it come from?
Yeah.
And then we start looking at houses. And then if you start having to, if it's in your house and you're having a mold problem, they're just, that can be a whole, yeah, you have a question?
I do. How soon do you get the results back after you do the test?
It's 6 days.
6 days.
Yeah. It's how long we like let them incubate for, a little sit for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6 days. And if you wanted, after the 6 days, and it looks like this, if it does look like this, if you wanted to send it back to the company to get the exact what types are in here, I'm not sure how long that process takes, but I'm sure it probably takes a couple weeks to send it back, get those results back. And actually, to go further, because I have my own success story with this, back in December, I caught a second round of COVID and was left with this little cough thing that I could not get rid of. And we would do all kinds of things. I'd do these different herbal stuff. And I was like, what on earth is going on? And this was months later. In fact, I just did this training, again, like I said, a couple months ago. And as soon as I did the training, I was literally in the training, like ordering these dishes because like, this is amazing. Got mine in, did the sample. And sure enough, mine was one of those that was like orange and things. And my saliva, but my urine was clear. And I was like, this has got to be this thing that's keeping my lungs. And so tested out for that, what I needed to take, what to do. For me, it only took about 3 to 4 weeks of taking the right stuff to clear that out. And with it went the cough. Haven't had this weird respiratory issue that I've been stuck with for 6 or 7 months, coming off the end of last year. I mean, it was like I'd wake up in the morning and just, it was kind of crazy. So that's my own success story for it, which has probably driven me to be like testing everybody. But yeah.
I'm also, and he was talking about, if someone's got a big group of symptoms and, you get 50% of it better, that's amazing. I've also had patients that have come in and have had these kind of hard to describe symptoms, but just feeling anxious, feeling a little fatigued, like not feeling their best, but not necessarily feeling awful. And we run a bunch of labs and we've done a bunch of work and, they're getting better, but then it's on both these people I'm talking about, we've run this. Like, they're just like, hey, we should try this and have a look. And they've both been positive. And you're like, you start to look at like anxiety and fatigue, all these things that can be related to that. And so